Hello, my name is Adam Holt, and I'm reaching out to you to Gamma Philippines to celebrate with you this amazing 25th anniversary. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm sorry that I'm not there in person with you personally. I know that it's been difficult for many people, but we're excited to share with you what's really working over here in the States and for our Gamma community, how we have shared how digital delivery of advice has revolutionized some of our practices. So please, with lots of energy and attention, we look forward to you learning a lot during this program. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I've been an advisor for a good number of years. I've been a life insurance agent for the past 22 years. I started a firm associated with a very large organization in the United States called Reuben Goldman and Associates. I've been a certified financial planner and a chartered financial consultant, and I have focused a lot of my energy on being smarter in this industry and also learning as much as I could so that I could deliver the best advice that my clients deserve. I also got into the wealth management business, so we successfully managed a little over $1.2 billion in US dollars. And also, we've been continuously, all of us qualified for MDRT, most of us at the top of the table or quarter of the table levels, and we've invested a lot in our organizations and industry. The reason I share this with you is to understand that I'm a student of the business, probably like you, and I very much care about how we deliver advice today and how ultimately our clients are lifted and served by that effort. And that means we also need to work on ourselves. And I'm glad to hear that you're here, present, and also investing in your people to lift the entire industry across the world. The other thing that I've also done is I've also been a technology founder for the past 12 years, and I built a process which I'm going to share parts of with you called Asset Map that helped us deliver advice faster than ever in this digital environment. And what's amazing to me is that by sharing this best practice now, there are over 4,000 agents and professionals around the world using this, multiple languages and currencies. We've mapped over 1 million people and over $600 billion in US financial resources. It's an amazing process simply because we shared best practices and innovation. So this is great. So I hope that you're excited. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do is to also share quotes that we felt really epitomize what we're doing and why. And this is a long quote, and it's written by a very famous artist, Vincent van Gogh, who you might be familiar with, and I happen to be very much into the art world. And I love this quote because it is buried amongst the archives that really a lot of people don't know. And the reason why it's valuable, if you've tried to read this already, is that it includes some really important aspects: a duty to our planet, to our population, to act with gratitude, and to leave behind something of importance that really touches the human experience. And that's really what this artist actually expressed. And it's the way I feel about the world too. And I hope you can relate, which is that we have this opportunity and also a duty, an obligation to help people, to lift people, and to also leave a mark on this world when we're not here. And that's very much what we do in the life insurance business and in the financial guidance business. So I want to thank you and applaud you for doing the great work that you do. Now, for me, I very much think like an artist. And so it's not a surprise when many people ask, how did I approach financial advice? In fact, I think very much that the people in our worlds, unfortunately, have collected a bunch of different financial instruments, some that they understand and some that they do not. And they can manage these things very simply, but when they think about them together, like their life insurance and their investments, and maybe they do some of their banking online, so they feel perhaps a little bit more in touch with their money. But when there are other people involved and other people dependent upon them to make decisions, we find that families tend to get stuck. They get paralyzed in those decisions. And so our job as an agent is to help organize their life visually at first and figure out what is in place and what is not in place. What we typically find is that many things are disorganized or completely missing from their financial, we'll call them their financial treasure map. And so it gives us an opportunity when we see this to automatically apply our agent intelligence, our advisor intelligence, and then give them a way to communicate with their spouse that here is where all of our financial resources are located. And this is very important. And I started doing this many years ago, and I did it in paper, face to face. And I built this framework that I would do these drawings for these clients, and we would draw what was missing, and it was really engaging. We moved to digital screens when that became available. And as many people started using mobile computers or mobile computing, we found that it was usable there. But the most important part about this is how this is evolving. We are moving towards a place where clients will interact with you in a digital environment, not just in a paper environment. And so today we have to be prepared to teach our agents how to communicate, not just in person with paper-based presentations, but also in a digital environment, a mobile, and potentially what we call a remote or virtual experience, which is very much like we are interacting today, which is that a lot of our clients may very well never see us physically again. If they're too sick to meet with us in this incredible health crisis, then that might not be smart for us to do business face to face. They might be nervous, and so they do nothing and they don't protect their family. And that's not acceptable because we need to help more people. The other side of the story is that many, especially people who are busy and creating some level of wealth, don't have time to meet with us in person. And if they think of this as a business decision, they want to make sure they get it done, they're more than willing to interact with you on a digital environment. And we have to teach our agents how to work this way and interact in this very new environment. So let's talk about that today. We found that there are 6 recurring themes, and you probably want to write this down, 6 recurring themes for delivering digital advice. We call this advice delivery. Advice delivery means guidance as well. It does not have to be full financial planning. It could be simply, I think your family is underinsured or needs critical illness or needs to consider investing. The point is that how we deliver that advice is really critical, because just as you're watching this program and just as you would have attended this in person, the investments in the lighting and the experience and how that's delivered and the entertainment value and the music and the people all comes across to be part of that customer experience that in this environment we don't have. We don't have the ability to shake somebody's hand firmly and let them know that we're on their team, to look them in the eye and be respectful and to give them the normal the business environment that we're used to giving. That usually was supporting how I delivered that advice. Now we have to do this over a screen and in a very small environment. So let's talk about those 6 themes and how you can help your firms focus on them. Number 1, how do we deal with new prospects in an environment where we can't meet in person? How do we gather facts from people? We need to know facts. Number 3, how do we make sure we schedule these meetings, especially when we don't have our typical teams available to us in the same way and everybody's busy? How do we recognize that the meeting environment is changing? How do we manage that? How do we deliver a visual presentation as opposed to 30, 50, 60 pages of paperwork that nobody understands? And of course, how do we manage our team to uncover opportunity in this new digital environment? Let's start with the first one. For prospects and leads, one of the biggest problem we've seen with agents is they've now gone to a digital environment. They cannot go to the places they normally went to, their churches. They cannot go to the same organizations and social environments that they would gather references and network and also get referrals. And so they haven't seen their clients and their prospects in the same magnitude. So the challenge is, how do we do this in a digital environment where we can get leads and prospects coming to us when we don't have traditional networking? Well, one of the things that I found is that it's really critical for us to build our personal reputation that becomes known beyond our own circles. And so today, the way that this tends to happen is this tends to happen by building reputation now digitally, by actually promoting, writing documents, writing articles on what are big issues for my clients, and then posting them in a digital environment so that they become lead magnets to those people who are concerned about those issues. For example, if I were to type in, how do I protect my family in some search engine on my phone, is your agent going to come up? Is your organization going to come up as a trusted source? And that way I can follow that link and hopefully get some information. How do prospects really know about you today? Have you created an environment where your current clients now also recognize that you still are growing your business in this environment. And that's really critical. We need to go back to all of our clients and say, I know things are difficult, but I'm still growing my business and things are very exciting for us right now. We're willing to meet in a digital environment over the phone or over the computer on the same screen. Who else from your network needs attention right now because they desperately need to take care of their family, right? We need to go ask for help to grow our business, and we need to offer our help. And that's traditional. We cannot wait for us to come back to the old environment, okay? And the other component here that I think is really critical is that we have to ask the question of how are we going to deliver this experience? And how are we going to deliver something that's more memorable than just my warm smile, right? Because if it's a memorable experience, then ultimately it's referable. So here are the things to think about. Digital reputation, what does that look like when I'm searched? What does a digital profile look like? Is it something that you can ask somebody, would you refer someone who found out about you this way? That means searching and social has to be top of mind, and we have to do this. So where we are known, where we can create affinity groups through organizations, perhaps our church, perhaps our social environments, maybe in schools of our children, can we become known as someone who's helping in this environment to help people make decisions, maybe in a digital framework, okay? Offer that. People are looking for that guidance. How do we gather client data today? Well, one of the bigger challenges we've seen, especially when there are individuals that don't even want to send any paper in advance, here's a list of some of my accounts, or here are my insurance policies, is that data collection is becoming harder and harder. And one of the ways that we attempted to solve this problem is we said, well, what happens if we just send a link to somebody? Will they take the time before our meeting to pre-populate it so that we could automatically collect a lot of this information? Now, this is a really interesting thing because it takes trust. And what's important about this is that when I send a link to someone to fill out some high-level information, it has to be very clear that this is for the purposes of figuring out whether what I'm going to bring to the table is appropriate and suitable. And that way people will open up and share this data because they know what's in it for them, right? Which is, I know that you're going to use this information to help me buy the right types of policies, insurance, investments, etc. Okay? And it's important that you do this in a high-level way where you're not asking too many details because that could become intimidating. So one of the things that we designed was a process that literally they could click on a link, it's clearly our agent's link, and then it opens up and it welcomes them in an almost game way to ask them high-level information. And this is really critical because if we intimidate people here, they won't do anything. But I will impress upon you that we have to share with our prospects that it is critical that we collect information about them so that we give them good guidance. If we don't collect that information, we might as well sell them a bunch of fish, okay? It's good fish, eat this fish, okay? But it's not. It's more complicated than that. There are features, there are benefits of our policies that really need to be explained, but they need to align with the person's abilities to afford it, as well as their interests for using certain products. So we must collect information. In fact, I tell people, if you're not willing to give me the information, I cannot work with you. I'm not going to set myself and you up for failure. Number 3, getting in the calendar has been interesting. We've noticed a lot of advisors and agents that have a challenge scheduling with people. And one of the best solutions that I've found here is a digital solution, but it requires that you actually invest a little bit of time and money, and it's not expensive at all. I happen to use, there's many platforms out there, and I won't endorse anyone. But for example, when I want to schedule with somebody, I have a link in my email and on my website that I can just send to the client, and they can actually choose their own time that works for them. If you're not using this, I really would implore you to consider this, because people do not have time to go back and forth with another scheduler to find the time, and they're tending to keep their calendars now on their phones. And so the key for this is to enable it so that they can just go in, choose the date, choose the time, put in their information for contacts, for cancellations and scheduling those details afterwards, and it puts it automatically in everybody's calendar. Everybody knows where to be, at the right time. Now, this is really critical if you're going to do this and you're going to also do remote meetings, that you must put the details of the meetings in all of these calendars so that nobody is confused where to go. One of the biggest challenges we see is that people get these meetings and they don't know what to do. So we have to also make sure that our customers who are not used to doing this in the same way, they have very clear directions of what the expectations are. I will tell you that in my business, I was able to literally run 8 or 9 meetings in a single day. All of my meetings for the entire week were on a single day. And the only way I was able to do it was through this and still do the level of production that we were doing, which was amazing to me. Focus, focus, focus. You need the tools to streamline the practice, and calendar scheduling is one of the most important ones. Number 4, one of the things that we've seen is that a lot of firms and companies have invested in conference rooms, and many people meet individuals either in social environments or at their home. But what's different about this environment is that when we're thinking digitally, we do not have the typical environment of our perhaps nice conference room with maybe digital screens or maybe a large, nice desk. We don't have that. We don't have that typical support of our infrastructure. And so one of the things that's been difficult to imagine is how do we reimagine the new delivery environment? And as I said in the beginning, environment is really critical. There's a reason why art in a museum is hung on a wall and it's in a beautiful space and you're there to expose and focus on the art. But when you don't have that ability to create an environment, now all of a sudden you're dealing with your typical environment, maybe your phone, maybe an iPad, maybe a screen. And so it's critical that we own the experience in this small environment. I think it's funny to think that our new environment is literally the screen you're looking at right now, but it's not even that good. Most of our clients don't have the technology that you have, and in fact are using smaller screens, don't have the familiarity with them in the same way. So the recognition is that when I'm delivering advice, I must deliver it in the environment in which it is received. So think about, what do your clients have? Do they have a small screen and they're trying to look, I can see what you're saying, and they can't understand? Or are they looking at large screens, and that way when you share that screen, you're delivering it in a way that is understandable and legible? Very important. If we don't have that empathy, that understanding, our presentations will go over the head of the people who receive it. Okay, next, 5. Our presentations must change. We are moving away from paper-based presentations and potentially PDF to simply screen sharing. And what I want to share with you is that I know that typically, at least in the United States, we have tended to lead with an idea that if we do enough analysis, if we do enough technical financial planning, people will understand what to do. The challenge with this is that this delivers 20, 30, 40 pages of reports and the clients just don't read it. In fact, I love this cartoon because it shows an advisor from 30 years ago showing the clients their financial plan, and the clients hear only gibberish, nonsense. They don't even understand what this advisor is saying. Of course, hopefully your computer monitor does not look like that, but the point is that our clients don't think that these large presentations are even valuable because they don't communicate well. They're relying on you to do that. And so we actually have moved towards a process of helping build their financial structure, what we call their asset map, person to person. Let's build it together. And in a digital environment, we get the opportunity to do this. For example, let's talk about your family members. Who's in your family? What's your spouse? Tell me about your children. Do you have a business partner? Are you taking care of mom? What do we think about starting a business? Are they part of your household? When we think about our clients, we actually should put them in the middle of our expression, not on the side or on page 1. They are in the middle because it's about them. What kinds of incomes are you receiving? What does that look like? Do you have pensions? Do you have annuities? Can I rely upon the company taking care of you if you cannot work? Do you have assets? Do you have debts? Do you have houses? What are those things and who owns those? Okay? The numbers don't matter per se. What's more important is that we start building this out with them so that we can confirm what's going on in their life. If both parties are working, what are they doing for business? Do they own any companies? Do they think they would like to start doing that? Is there a reason for us to consider doing a business or owning, let's say, different types of assets? Do we have joint assets like a home? Do we have debts? And do we have insurances? Do we have enough insurance? Is it the right type of insurance? Where are they? Has anybody looked at these things in the last 10 years? What we typically find is that when we can build their life in front of them live, or I do it at office and I send it to them and they can draw all over it, we find that they get much more engaged, which means that they're part of the process and they own it. And now they will reveal more of the truth so that we can deliver better advice and the right types of products that fit within their entire map. The second thing that we have to do in a digital environment is not only prove that we know the client and collect that data digitally so that we can look at it later, is we also need to tell them how much life insurance they need, how much they are funded for retirement, how much it would cost if they were to have a critical illness. People are no longer willing to just accept your statement. We have to prove it, but we have to prove it in 1 page or 2 pages, not 50 pages. And if we can share a screen and I can tell somebody, look, you're funded for retirement. We can afford to have this kind of retirement. You need to save more money. Where should you save the money? Well, we can debate where you should save the money. Maybe this fund, this annuity, this life insurance cash value. There are a lot of options that we can use, but it's critical for the client to agree that yes, they need to save a certain amount of money. Is it 5? Is it 10,000 pesos per month? How much can they afford to save? They have to own that so that when you come back with a recommendation, they know why they're doing it in the first place. The key thing is that we have to be able to describe it to the client that wants to get technical without requiring that we actually lead with a technical presentation. The most important thing for us to do as agents who are going to have a relationship with clients long term so that we can earn the business that they need to cover over their entire lifetime. For example, in the early days, they need life insurance. Later on in life, they're going to need maybe some investments. Then maybe they need some more life insurance. Then they need to help their parents deal with critical illness. And to be with them that entire spectrum of their life is the critical part for monetizing the most valuable part of the business, okay? Long-term client value, lifetime client value is 10 times more valuable when you capture their attention and you continue to earn their business over time. And that is critical because in our business, we will continue to build more products that serve our clients and we need to be in a position to help them. That does not happen if they do not view us as someone who can be with them over the long term, which means we need to think of their life and also catalog their goals throughout our experience. What you see in front of you is this idea that an agent can actually track the client's goals every time they meet with them, and we can update it and with just a couple of clicks, and we can see where we have gaps and where we're doing well. And that is critical for us to describe in a digital environment. How are we doing? Are the things in the right place? And what do we need to focus on and prioritize? Really critical. Team management is interesting in a digital environment. Now, not only obviously are people all over the place, but I think many of you are used to your agents being distributed and in many different locations. What's interesting about this is that the opportunity with digital advice is that we can collect data. Why is that important? Well, if we can collect data on the households, then we can start making decisions about a couple of things. We all know that not every agent survives in this business. Retention is always an issue. And for an agent who works with 5, 10, 15, 100 households, if they do not make it in the business, when they leave, where does that information go? If we have it digitally, we can instantly reassign those asset maps or the data of that client to another agent who can instantly go in and start working with those clients so that they are no longer orphaned. That means without an agent. And that's a real big problem. Many of you have figured out processes here but transferring the knowledge of the client is a very difficult thing. And so when we can collect it digitally, that's important. Number two is when we can look at that data and uncover opportunities to help people, we can all of a sudden cross-sell or cross-engage our client base and actually earn more business. We have shown continuously, in fact, one of the largest companies in the United States that uses AssetMap, we actually shared with them a study that told them specifically there were 17,000 people who needed over $1 million US of life insurance, representing about $47 billion in face amount that was not sold to our existing clients and had a drastic need. Who were they? Who was their agent? Pick up the phone. Call those people right now. Now, if we had the capacity to take digital data and look at this across our entire agency, now we would see who needs help. For example, in this example, I said, show me all the families that have some money with us, are over the age of 55, have a certain level of income, but have no critical illness fund. Zero. Why? Because we want to pick up the phone and say, Mr. and Mrs. Family, we noticed that you're missing this. I have some solutions. We should consider it. You have trusted me with your insurance. You have trusted me with your investments. I'd like to show you some options because I think you are exposed. This is a really interesting idea, and we're missing this if we're not collecting the data in a digital framework. Okay, one of the things that I hope that you've taken from this stuff is that we're seeing a trend in digital delivery. The future, as much as we are showing technology, the future of our business is not technology. Well, how does that make sense, Adam? The future of our advice, we think, is AI, what typically people call artificial intelligence. But we disagree. Where the delivery of advice happens is at the agent's intelligence. So we need to lift our agents' awareness, our advisors' awareness, and help their knowledge to be applied to their families in real time. Because as much as technology is going to complicate and simplify this environment, it's really incumbent upon people to help other people make decisions. We all know that when a decision is complex and there's a high cost of being wrong, people tend to get stuck and they want other humans to help them make a decision. That is where our agents come into place and help clients make decisions. So our job is really to simplify the problem, help them understand what's going on in their life, and of course, make better decisions as a result of it because we can apply our agent intelligence to their life in real time. So as a review for this, if you haven't written it down, these are the 6 areas we are seeing that digital advice delivery is disrupting the traditional environment. What do I do? How do I fix it? How do I innovate? And of course, my question to you is, with these 6 areas, what changes can you make? Think about that. You may not be in control of all of these processes, but what can you make? What are you willing to make? And of course, most importantly, are you going to lead that change, or are you going to wait for your competitors to do it and then follow them? It's really critical. I hope you feel the message here, which is important, that we are in control of our decisions. We have choice. Let's hopefully take some effort and lead that choice so that other people can be better served by our collective efforts. With that, I offer, if you want to learn more about what we're doing, you feel free to visit assetmap.com/gamma-ph. That is a dedicated site for all of you in the Philippines. You can learn more. We've also included all of our material that we ever recorded for Gamma throughout the years. I found all of my lanyards, all of the times I've been to Gamma. I'm sorry I'm not there to see you personally. I do wish you all the best. And of course, hope that your family and friends are healthy and find a way to make a better outcome from this entire environment. And we hope to see you at the next year in person. With that, thank you, God bless, and have a very safe and happy day.
For Genesis, Restart Your Business, Deep Dive speaker, Mr. Adam Holt. Gamma International Philippines now presents Mr. Holt, our tokens of appreciation.